chant a devotional bhajan, Jai Radha Madhava, with great enthusiasm for their lordships. Jai Radha Madhava, Kunda Vihari. Prabhupada Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Satera, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories, all glories, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. We chant the glories of the Bhagavatam together. Srila Sanatana Goswami. What do I do with this thing?
It's not in here. Different folder.
Oh, that's my notes. Well, somebody took it to pass it out, so it should be somewhere. Yeah, you can take these notes and give the class. Okay, so together. Sarva Sastrabhidi Piyusha Sarva Vedaka Sarpala Sarva Shirantaratnadya Sarva Lokai Kadrit Prada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kali Dvantoditataya Sri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Partaya Prema Varshakarashete Sarvada Sarva Sevaya Sri Krishnaya Namostute Madeka Bandhu Matsangin Madguru Mad Mahadana Manistaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namostute Asura Surutada Yanati Nicha Chataraka Hanamuncha Karasin Mam Pranahrit Katayo Stura. English. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all the Vedic scriptures, O most prominent events of all the Vedas, O you who are enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you who grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O life breath of the Vaishnava devotees, O Lord, you are the sun that has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actually Lord Krishna who has returned among us. O Srimad Bhagavatam, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. By reading you, one attains transcendental bliss, for your syllables rain pure love of God upon the reader. You are always to be served by everyone, for you are an incarnation of Lord Krishna. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, O my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O giver of saintliness to the unsaintly, O uplifter of the very fallen, please don't ever leave me. Please become manifest in my heart and my throat, accompanied by pure love of Krishna. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so word by word and translation. So I was first told text 15, but then last night I got a message it was text 14. So I hope I try to do the Sanskrit as best I can. Word by word and translation. Yat Bandhava. By whose friendship only. Kurubala Abdim. The ocean of the military strength of the Kurus. Ananta Param, which was insurmountable. Eka, alone. Ratena, being seated on the chariot. Tattare, was able to cross over. Aham, myself. Atirya, invincible. Satvam, existence. Pratyaharitam, drew back. Bahu, very large quantity. Dhanam, wealth. Cha, also. Maya, by my. Paresham, of the enemy. Tejapadam, source of brilliance. Mani Mayam, bedecked with jewels. Cha, also. Ritam, taken by force. Shiro Baiha, from their heads. Yadbandava Kuru Baladim Anantaparam. Yadbandava Kuru Baladim Anantaparam. Yadbandava Kuru Baladim Anantaparam. Ekoratena tatareham materia, ekoratena tatareham materia satvam. Ekoratena tatareham materia satvam. Ekoratena tatareham materia satvam. Pratyahritam bahudanam samaya paresham. Pratyahritam bahudanam samaya paresham. Pratyahritam bahudanam samaya paresham. Tejasparam manimayam chahritam shirovaya.
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 Yadbandava Kuru Baladim Anantaparam. Ekoratena tatareham materia satvam. Pratyahritam bahudanam chamaya paresham. Tejasparamani mayam chahritam shirobhyaha.
Yadbandava Kudbalabdim Anantaparam.
Yadbandava Kudbalabdim Anantaparam.
Ekoratena tatareham materia satvam.
Ekoratena tatareham materia satvam.
Pratyahritam bahudanam chamaya paresham.
Pratyahritam bahudanam chamaya paresham.
Tejasparam manimayam chahritam shirobhya.
Tejasparam manimayam chahritam shirobhya.
Yadbandava Kurubalatim Anantaparam.
Yarandava Kuru Baladim Anantaparam.
Ekoratena tatareham materia satvam.
Ekoratena tatareham materia satvam.
Pratyahritam bahudanam chamaya paresham.
Pratyahritam bahudanam chamaya paresham.
Manimayam charitam shirovya.
Tejasparam animayam chahritam shirobhyaha. Anyone else? Okay. The translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The military strength of the Kauravas was like an ocean in which there dwelled many invincible existences, and thus it was insurmountable. But because of his friendship, I, seated on the chariot, was able to cross over it. And only by his grace was I able to regain the cows and also collect by force many helmets of the kings, which were bedecked with jewels that were sources of all brilliance. Purport. On the Kaurava side, there were many stalwart commanders, like Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, and Karna. And their And their military strength was insurmountable as the great ocean. And yet it was due to Lord Krishna's grace that Arjuna alone, sitting on the chariot, could manage to vanquish them one after another without difficulty. There were many changes of commanders on the other side, but on the Pandava's side, Arjuna alone on the chariot driven by Lord Krishna could manage the whole responsibility of the great war. Similarly, when the Pandavas were living at the palace of Virata incognito, the Kauravas picked a quarrel with King Virata and decided to take away his large number of cows. While they were taking away the cows, Arjuna fought with them incognito and was able to regain the cows along with some booty taken by force, and the jewels sit on the turban of the royal order. Arjuna remembered that all this was possible by the grace of the Lord. Can we repeat the military strength of the Kauravas?
The military strength
Was like an ocean, in which there dwelled many invincible existences, and thus it was insurmountable. But because of his friendship, I, seated on the chariot, was able to cross over it. So who's speaking?
Arjuna.
Yeah. And only by his grace was I able to regain the cows and also collect by force many helmets of the kings, which were bedecked with jewels that were sources of all brilliance. Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Praskati Satarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm going to do a pause and go back a couple days. I think today is, what is it, the 12th? November 12th, so a few days ago, it's like November, pardon?
Today's 13th.
13th, okay, whatever. So in a few days ago, November 9th, there was an event, an unplanned event, that occurred in New York City and 8 other states, Canada. And it started at 5:15 Eastern time, about a half an hour after sunset. And the lights started flickering. And they flickered some more. And they flickered some more. And suddenly there was this like wild flickering for about a minute and then dead. So this, and dead means all electricity went out, pitch dark, just right after the sunset. And it was exactly at that time you had like millions of people. There's like, 13 million people in New York City, and quite a larger number of them had jobs, and they took buses, subways, elevated platforms, etc. to get to and from work. But all of a sudden, it was totally dark, and in all there was about 30 million people that were left stumbling around trying to remember where they'd put their matches and their candles, like you have them somewhere, if they even got home. And in Manhattan alone, there was 800,000 people stranded and stuck on subways, elevators, and stoplights were out of order, so like the ordinary citizens rose to the occasion. They started directing traffic, and doctors were delivering babies and performing surgery by little flashlights. So during this time, this divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, was on the 5th floor of this yoga studio of Dr. Mishra's. And nobody knew what was happening at that point in time. 9/11 hadn't happened yet, so terrorists weren't exactly on the mind, but there had been two films, Dr. Strangelove, I forget the other one, but they were, the kind of films that are set against, peace, and there's all this subversive stuff that happens, and so people had those films on the mind, and some of them were like, oh my God, is this, is the entertaining story becoming a reality? They didn't know what was going on, and the TVs didn't work, so they couldn't get their news. So, and like right in the middle of a performance by this legendary pianist Vladimir Horowitz, he was doing a piece about Chopin, and he just played right on in the dark. And one Scandinavian Airway pilot, he was coming in to land, and he sees the landing lights, and he looks down at his instrument panel, he looks up again, and it's totally dark. So Srila Prabhupada was sitting in this total darkness, and we know what he was doing because this Dr. Mishra, he sent someone over to bring him candles and some water. So when he got there, he opened the door, he had a key, he was an assistant to Mishra, and Prabhupada was in his room, which was a small room that had no windows. So he was just sitting there chanting. The fellow came in, Prabhupada kind of looked up, he saw what it was, who it was, and continued chanting. So that's Srila Prabhupada, not disturbed by situations that come on their own accord. And this particular one was the situation where the term power grid was kind of used for the first time. Because what actually happened, they found out days later, that up in Canada, there was like a domino effect. One of their power sources went off, the power surged to the next source, blew it out, and it surged to the next source, blew it out, and then it came over to America and just knocked power out all over the place. So, Srila Prabhupada sat and chanted. So, another name for Krishna, Arjuna. Oh, before I forget, because I forgot this the other day, last week when I gave class. So this is the Mahaprasadam from Tirupati. So after class, you can just come and take it. It's okay. I don't know, because I brought it from, like last week I had just gotten back, right? And then now it's like a week later, but it's okay. It's like, you know.
What kind of ladus?
Huh? Yeah, it's one of the ladus. Oh my God, they gave me so much. It was like, I had no place to put it. It was like so heavy. So I brought this one because I could mold it into a way that I could stick it in the corner of my suitcase. So, another name of Arjuna, Krishna Saka, friend of Krishna. Sometimes he was also called Krishna because his bodily features were almost similar to Krishna's bodily features. So we're seeing that he was in this morose condition, being separated from Krishna, and his elder brother, King Yudhisthira, he was inquiring if he was morose for this reason or that reason. But actually, he was unhappy only on account of being separated from Krishna. And Prabhupada comments, similarly, not only Arjuna, but all of us, we are also morose. As is Krishna. Arjuna is also a living entity, and we are also living entities. So we're also unhappy because we're separated from Krishna. So the modern philosophers or the scientists may suggest that they can go on thinking otherwise, that they can improve the world situation in their own way, but that is not possible. We're unhappy only of being separated from Krishna. That's all. Every one of us. Just like when the lights went out. Actually, it was only out, they were out like from 5 o'clock until some of them started coming on around 3 in the morning, and by 7 in the morning, it was more or less all working again. But during the time the lights were out, people were in such anxiety, and all they wanted was for it wasn't just the lights, and the refrigerators didn't work, the elevators didn't, they just wanted the electricity to come back on. When the electricity came back on, of course, there was momentary, so-called illusory joy, more like a relief than a real joyful experience, but to get the electricity back. And then they're back to the normal state, all the worries, all the problems. What is the next rearrangement of the furniture? Like you can come in this room and things are here and there, we can move them around a bit. It'll still be the same room. Like one time we had a temple president who took Srila Prabhupada from the Vyasa sign and plunked him down right over there on the floor. Well, there was some kind of a little platform, but just there. And it really didn't change everything, except it made everybody very uncomfortable. And then they took the standing Prabhupada that's in the palace, that was intended to be in the palace, and stuck him up there. So things, rearranged. But essentially, the consciousness remained the same, and the room was the same, In the Upanishads, it said that the Paramatma, Krishna, and the living entity are sitting in the same tree, the Shamani Vrikshe. And one living entity is eating the fruit of the tree. And the other living entity is just witnessing, just watching, an umanta. So Krishna is situated in everyone's heart. This Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridaya Shri Arjuna Tishtati, 861. And because without his sanction, the living entity, we can't do anything without his sanction. Sarvaschitraham Hridaya, that Krishna is saying, I'm seated in everyone's heart. So if the living entity wants to do something out of his own whims, You know, we all have so many thoughts and we have so many little plans going in our little brains. So Krishna will give a good consultation that this will not make you happy. Don't do this. But we're very persistent and we will do it. Then Krishna sanctions Paramatma. All right, you do it, but at your own risk. Every one of us is very intimately connected with Krishna because he's sitting in our hearts. And he's so kind, he's simply waiting for us. Prabhupada said, where's that rascal? When will this rascal turn his face towards me? Krishna's simply looking at us, he's so kind. But we're living entities, and we turn our face to everything except Krishna. That is our unfortunate position. Even Krishna is telling you this is not a good idea. And we say, we love Krishna, but, oh, Krishna just told me something I don't like, so. And then the result is we become even more morose. We want to be happy with so many ideas, making our own plans, but the conditioned souls do not know the actual process for attaining happiness, for pleasing Krishna. And they don't know what is missing. And that missing point, Prabhupada explains, that missing point we are giving. Take Krishna and be happy. This is our Krishna consciousness movement. So, why are we in this material world and not in the spiritual world? You can ask that. In the spiritual world, nobody else can become the enjoyer, the bhokta. It is only Krishna. Bhaktaram yagya tapasam sarva. There's no mistake. They're also living entities, but they know that the real enjoyer, the real proprietor is Krishna. That is spiritual kingdom. And similarly, even in the material world, if we understand perfectly well that we're not the enjoyers, that Krishna is the enjoyer, then we're also in the spiritual world, you know. So the Krishna consciousness movement is trying to convince everyone that we aren't the enjoyers. The only enjoyer is Krishna. And Prabhupada comments that every religion is accepted. The Christian religion also says, oh God, give us our daily bread. So bread, I mean, we can make the bread, but we cannot ourselves make the ingredients that go into making the bread. We can't. It must come from God. And that is also Vedic version. Nitya nityaram, chaitanas chaitaram eko, yo bahunam vidatati kamam, from the Katha Upanishad. That God or Krishna, he gives everything, the necessities of life. But if we only accept these things that we like, you know, what is the expression? We cherry pick. So I only take this. Then we become entangled. And if we accept things to be enjoyed, tena taktena bhuntataha, this Upanishad, as Krishna offers, then we'll become happy. So there's the two methods, the pravritti and the nirvritti. And the pravritti means, I have inclination to eat this or enjoy that. Why not? I'll do it. I have my freedom. That, Prabhupada says, is Maya. We cannot violate or avoid the laws of Krishna or the laws of nature. Who is independent? You know, 'cause here we are sitting, who can say, I'm independent of everything? This is our mistake, using the independence. We are suffering in this material world in so many ways. That has to be reformed. Prabhupada's comment, that has to be reformed. And that has to be checked. This is our Krishna consciousness movement. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has preached this Jivera Swarupahoy Nitya Krishna Das from Madhya Lila. And the living entities, we are his eternal servants of Krishna. That's our position. But if we deny this position, now I shall become servant of Krishna. Why shall I become servant of Krishna? Then the suffering begins immediately. I remember Srila Prabhupada telling us that shortly after his arrival in San Francisco, and we were trying to wrap our heads around being in the material world as opposed to the spiritual world, and how do you get from the spiritual world to the material world, and you know, how long does it take? Prabhupada said, immediately. You are there, Krishna's there, Krishna's enjoying, and suddenly this little thought comes in our little head. I want to enjoy like that. All right? Immediately you go by your desire. Now you try. So he quoted a verse from the second canto, that persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire the problems of life, being too much attached to the fallible soldiers like the body, the children, the wife, etc. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. So each and every one of us were thinking, I'm independent. My wife, children, society, they're my soldiers. If I'm in danger, they will help me. But Prabhupada points out, this is called Maya, illusion. Pramattate shanidanam pashyam abhina pashyate. Because we have become mad after this so-called independence from God. And we're thinking these things will help us and protect us. But this is Maya. Tesham nidanam, everyone will be destroyed. Nobody will be able to give us protection. If real protection is wanted, one has to take protection of Krishna. That is the instruction of Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharma fritvaya jamamakam saranam vraja. You are thinking that so many things will give you protection, but that will not be possible. You will be finished, and your so-called protector and friends and soldiers, they will also be finished. You don't depend on them. You just surrender unto me, and I will give you protection. Aham tvam sarva pavebhyo mokshasya masuka. That this is the real protection. You can ask protection from what? And Prabhupada said protection from committing sinful activities. Because if you surrender to Krishna, you will not be, you surrender to Krishna to serve him, then automatically you will not be committing sinful activities. So, falsely thinking independent, but depending on a false platform, Prabhupada describes it, thinking of protection from a tiltering means, unsteady platform. What is that? The material world. So we have to take shelter of Krishna. Krishna is very friendly to all of us. Therefore, he comes from Vaikuntha to inform us. That is Bhagavad Gita, and that is elaborately explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the only thing. People are faced with so many crises, so many problems. Once a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, what is the solution of this coming crisis? That one he was asking about was there was like the Saudi Arabian oil crisis. So suddenly, that substance, which is very dear and necessary to the life as we think we want it, was being restricted. I was in England at the time, and I remember having to be in queue to get some gas for your car. Be in a little queue. And then people were getting really clever at trying to find ways to avoid the queue, jump the queue. And me and my Sankirtan partner went to a secondhand store and got one, like a lab coat, one of those like white things you wear in the hospitals. We put the lab coat on and we drove up and we said, emergency, Lord Chaitanya's army's waiting for us. So we got our gas ahead of everybody. Anyway, everyone's falsely thinking, depending on the false tilting platform. So if we take shelter of Krishna, he's very friendly. He's in our heart. He'll talk to us, and we can hear him, and we can talk to him. So then Prabhupada made this comment about nonsense politicians. They're spoiling the situation, but they'll not accept the solution. So a couple days, well, maybe 3 days ago, there was a letter from a devotee who's a temple president in a temple in the Bay Area. I don't want to name names, but temple in the Bay Area. And they have a huge crisis in California. There's a homelessness. It's huge. I mean, it's like they did a poll, and it was the top of the poll. I mean, it's always been there, maybe like third or fourth now. But no, it's the top of the poll because it's creating such a disturbance on so many levels. And so somebody from the city human resource department or the mayor, some public official came to the temple. And they asked that temple president, do you have any ideas that can help us? That just shows how desperate they are, Have any ideas? And then from that, he got it into his little mind that maybe he should run for mayor. I was thinking he should run from it, not to it. But anyway, he got that idea. And then our communication minister wrote in this letter, and he was saying, you have this amazing opportunity to do something significant, this is just a small problem. He's talking about the homelessness, a small problem. And I'm like, small problem? California thinks it's their #1 problem, and here's our communication mission. It's a small problem. Just solve it. They've been trying for decades to solve the problem. Okay, little temple president, you solve it, But that's not the solution. Even they make some arrangement, which they do constantly, then some other thing, some other ugly, nasty thing raises its head. Because of the AIDS epidemic, they decided to give out free needles, because that was one of the ways, it was spread. Okay, they gave out free needles, so now there's needles lying all over in plain sight, on the sidewalks, on the streets, sitting on the subways or just on the street. You just see people injecting themselves with some type of drug, right out in the open. So Prabhupada said, these nonsense politicians, they're spoiling the situation because they don't accept the real solution, that Krishna consciousness and everything will be solved. But we should always remember our preaching work is dealing with 4 kinds of men. The Duskritina means those who are full of sinful activities. The Mudhas, what Prabhupada described as rascals. And we love to be called rascal by Srila Prabhupada. It was like a very affectionate term. But when he's calling somebody a rascal, it has a little potency to it. Naradama, the lowest of mankind, and Maya Prita Gyana. So they're thinking they're very much advanced in education, but Prabhupada says, fool number 1. Maya has taken the real knowledge. Maya Prita Gyana. So this Ashuri Bhavana Shita, the only fault is godlessness. And therefore we should know the only cause is Krishna. Forgetfulness of Krishna, that's the only cause. So then Prabhupada asked, just try to preach this cult. That was spoken before cult became a suspect word. Like so many words change their nuance over time. Just like organic used to mean decomposable waste, right? You remember that? Does anybody think of decomposable waste when they say organic now? So P.S. try to preach this call, even though not everyone will accept. Just like in the sky, there's only one moon and millions of stars. Yet they're useless talking about the stars. What is the value of millions of stars? But one moon can dissipate the whole darkness of the night. So similarly, at least those who've taken to Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada asks, become a moon and enlighten the world. These so-called glowworms will not be able to do anything. Don't remain a glowworm. Just become a sun and a moon. Enlighten the world, and people will be happy, and you will be happy. So, okay, my time is up. I turn it over to the members of the audience. I was thinking we should give names to each one of these pillars. Have the cowherd boy pillars on this side, the gopi pillars on that side, and when there's not so many people, we'll look at the pillars and we'll remember, oh, there's Sangha-Vidya. Oh, there's Sudevi. Oh, there's Subal. Anyway.
How do we maintain that sense of urgency without being entangled in passion, more passion? Krishna consciousness.
Well, one way now, I would say look in the mirror. I mean, look in the mirror. We're all these like old people now, you know. The boys and girls that we were, you know, these old men and old women. Look in the mirror, you know. Should kind of give you a nudge. For the younger folks, like Braylon, you can look at us and say, oh, that's going to happen to me too. Maybe I should get myself a little solidly situated. I'm thinking I have a long time, but look what happened to them, and it seems like it happened overnight, you know. So we should constantly evaluate ourselves. You know, what's really going on in my mind? What am I really hankering after? You know, and if we see there's some lacking or spiritual lacking or deficiency, then we should, you know, take note and take proper action. I mentioned the other day, Prabhupada was saying that the only way to get rid of the impediments, what are the impediments of material desires, contrary to Krishna, is to chant. And if it's not working with your 16 rounds, then he said chant 64 rounds. He said this will require some determination. So that is a little insight there, this determination part, that we really need to increase our determination, increase our level of determination. Because it's relatively easy to, you know, you get up in the morning, you take your shower, you come down here, you chant your rounds, go to class. It doesn't mean you're actually connecting. That's the external side. The real work is within. And taking note of Krishna's presence in our life, paying attention to Krishna in our heart. Just like Arjuna was powerful, as long as Krishna kept him powerful. When he withdrew, he was giving him certain power to do certain things that were needed to perform his mission. Mission was over, he didn't need those powers anymore, so they were withdrawn. We're not even independently powerful. You know, our power is non-existent, really. And at the same time, we become very proud, Jamishwarya, Shuttashi, that in the material world, everyone's proud of their birth, their riches, education, so-called beauty. And these four things are an occurrence of pious activities. And as a result of impious activities, then the opposite occurs. Not a very good person, not a very nice family, not a very good nation, no wealth, poverty, no education, no beauty. Prabhupada was talking about that, and he was explaining actually being American people in general have got nice assets. We're born in it used to be a respectable nation. I don't know if we are anymore, but going back when he was speaking, was a respectable nation. He says, so this is a good opportunity to be conscious that by the grace of Krishna we have these things. So just being born in America can give us an opportunity to recall Krishna by the many things that come to us as part of our heritage of birth. There's not so much poverty here. It exists, but it's not overwhelming. And there's chance of good education. I met a young devotee that I met on my last trip to Ghana, West Africa, pretty poor country. And at that time, I remember we'd gone to this place where there's a waterfall. I mean, it wasn't what you call a stupendous waterfall, but some water was falling down the mountainside, and so we were there chanting and talking, myself and her and another lady. And I remember her telling me at that time that, she'd actually had this path of education all set out. And then she met the devotees. At that point, she still wasn't initiated. So she was weighing the options, Krishna. This is Krishna, who I haven't seen and I haven't heard, but everybody's telling me about him. And then, the possibilities that could come through my education. So when I met her, I just met her up in New York on Sunday night. And so we had a little catch up. So what's been happening since that time? So since that time, she had decided that she was going to become educated in Krishna consciousness, and she threw herself into it. And now she's here in America to pursue the other side of her education. And she's accepted at Harvard. But she said she don't, back when we were having that talk, that was kind of like, that would have been kind of cool, but it didn't seem to have any possibility on the radar. But it was actually through her absorption in Krishna consciousness that she found herself able to apply and be accepted for Harvard. And I forget the exact focus of her education, but it's something that will be very useful in serving Krishna consciousness and the devotees. Prabhupada said that, if we don't become Krishna conscious, if we misuse the assets, he goes in, punar musika bhavan. You remember that? Everybody knows that one? Again, you become a mouse. And a mouse comes to a saintly person, he goes, sir, I'm very troubled. Oh, what is that? So people generally go to saintly persons for some material profit, right? Some relief from an unsettling situation. So why should you go to a saintly person for some material benefit? It can give you liberation, and you're just asking for, some little thing. So this foolish person, he goes, and so the mouse, so he's, I'm troubled. Okay, what you want? He goes, let me become a cat. All right, you become a cat. So he became a cat. After a few days, he came back. Sir, I'm still in trouble. Oh, what is that? The dogs trouble us so much. So now what do you want? I want to become a dog. All right, you become. And then after a few days, this is nature's, arrangement. One is weak, one is strong. This is nature. So he came back, and he was having trouble. Now what do you want? I want to become a tiger. All right, he became a tiger. And then he sat staring at the saintly person like, sorry, and was staring at him, and the saintly person looks, so you want to eat me? Yes. Oh, then you may become a mouse again. This Pinar Musika Baba, become a mouse again. So by the grace of Krishna, of God, we actually have wealth, we have beauty, we have education. But if we forget Krishna, again a mouse. We have seen devotees who have actually become very advanced, very accomplished, and then just some little thing, you don't even know when or where it happens. And there you are, out on the street, like a common ordinary person, trying to exist with some false idea of temporary pleasure. And nobody cares for us, you know. Oh, just another person on the street. So by the grace of Lord Krishna, we have gotten so much, but if we misuse it again, we become fallen. That's nature's law. You know? Oh. Krishna will guide us from within. He'll speak to us. We can hear him, provided we're fully surrendered. Minor detail. So what is this fully surrendered? It means just giving up this opposition, this resistance to what Krishna is offering us, or taking what he's offering us and not using it in his service. Did you?
What I really like about this section of the Bhagavatam is how Arjuna is remembering that all of his success was due to his relationship with Krishna. We have a saying in Krishna consciousness where we say, Jai Prabhupada. And that's actually true. We have to remember that, what it means. It's not just something that's said, but it means that Prabhupada is all credit for whatever we have done in our devotional service goes to Prabhupada, you know. And when we forget that, the other example used is the fan. When the fan is plugged into the wall, it's spinning.
Yeah.
And even if you pull it out the plug, it spins for a while. It appears to be the same. But when the connection is broken, it'll eventually die out. And the challenge for all of us, I think, is to try to be Krishna conscious our whole life. Keep it plugged in through that. And then the credit is going back to Prabhupada. The minute what I was reflecting on was that Arjuna is here speaking with his brother, and he's just remembering everything that happened. And maybe at the time when he was involved in it, he wasn't really necessarily as intensely remembering that Krishna is the credit. Krishna is the cause of his victory. You know, when you're passionately doing something, you know, you're fighting or you're building or you're collecting or you're serving the mission, you might actually kind of forget where the power comes from because you're kind of on a wave, so to speak. But then so then when they get together, this is the point, when Arjuna got together with his brother, then immediately he started giving all the credit to Krishna. That's really the sign of a devotee. We'll give all the credit to the master. So my reflection on this verse, thank you.
And Krishna is more pleased when his devotee is recognized and served. Mm-hmm. In fact, without recognizing and serving the pure devotee, we're not going to get the Krishna connection. You know, we can't do that on our own.
The Krishna connection is reserved for those who have the mercy, like you said, the mercy of the pure devotee. The mercy of the pure devotee reveals Krishna standing behind him. You know? So anyway, I'd like to read something.
Okay. Bhartara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Please don't forget to take some Tirupati Mahaprasad.